Hello Boxers! Today we're gonna talk about one of the most interesting upcoming fights. October 12th, Dmitri Bivol, an iconic Soviet-style fighter with a record of 23-0, will face a guy whose name is a synonym of knockout power. Artur Beterbiev, 0 losses, 20 wins and 20 knockouts. The only one boxer in history ending every fight with a KO. What a crazy clash of styles, what a crazy fight, the one I was so hyped to see even before these guys became famous, cause in niche circles they were already known for incredible skills and outstanding amateur careers. Today I'm gonna compare everything which can be compared, analyze the styles and task for the fight, trying to answer a question. Will younger and more agile Bivol stop an aging Beterbiev despite he hits like a truck? Let's see. Both fighters were shaped by Soviet boxing school, which means a long amateur career. Each of them has around 300 fights and a lot of prestigious titles, but let's go deeper. Dmitri Bivol was officially the most titled boxer among juniors, having won 2 Europeans and 2 World Championships, fighting at 69 and 75 kilos, being under 17 years of age. But with moving to 81 kilos and to senior national team, everything became not so sweet. Aside from the gold at the 2012 European Championships, there is no much else to boast about. Things didn't go smoothly at domestic championships either, and Dmitry never managed to become the number one of a national team and qualify for the Olympics. While Bivol was competing in juniors, Artur Beterbiev was already the leader of the senior national team, dominating everyone in the 81 kg category. Two-time European champion and a two-time world champion, qualified for the Olympics in 2008 and then qualified again in 2012, this time in 91 kilos, where he lost in the quarterfinals to Alexander Usyk. Interesting fact that in the distant 2007, Beterbiev defeated Usyk in a match between Russia and Ukraine, when they fought at 81 kilos. Besides the board of the Olympics, he also fought Usyk once more at the 2011 World Championship, losing by decision. It's worth mentioning that both of victories were a hell of a fight for the much bigger and more skilled Alexander. In both fights, Usyk ended up on the canvas after a body shot, but the knockdowns were not scored because the punches were considered illegal. To this day, some boxing fans and Beterbiev himself disagree with that ruling. To sum up, here I want to highlight that surprisingly, less agile, less classy Soviet Beterbiev were actually the elite amateur fighter in the light heavyweight and heavyweight divisions. In my opinion, when two guys raised by Russian amateur boxing machine face each other, even in the professionals, this fact is a big thing to consider. Dmitri Bivol's pro debut was in 2014 against Jorge Rodriguez Oliveira. In 2017 he fought Tred Broadhurst for a vacant WBA title and won by hard knockout in the first round. After that, he defended his title 6 times, without gaining much public recognition. In general, for a blood-hungry audience, Dmitry was considered more like a guy who doesn't have punching power and blah blah blah. His patience and discipline in avoiding aggressive exchanges wasn't really making him a big name. But anyway, it was a perfectly skilled fighter in tremendous shape, waiting for his shot. And here it comes. Bivol made a world talk about him after he declared Canelo Alvarez in 2022. Walking into the ring as a major underdog, he forced the superstar, whose last loss was 9 years ago, to back up against the ropes under a barrage of punches. Dmitry showed impressive pressure, landing long combinations that wore his opponent down. His control of distance, nasty lead hand and perfect conditions combined with the body of a natural light heavyweight made a victory an impossible task for Canelo. This is when well-deserved fame arrived, and his measured style, once considered dull, became Bivol's calling card and won him many fans. Bivol's last fight took place in June 2024 against Malik Zinat in Riyadh. The difference in class was evident and the fight was stopped in the 6th round. However, in my opinion, Bivol didn't deliver his best performance, especially considering that he has been preparing for Beterbiev, who couldn't make it to the fight due to an injury. Dmitry was less agile and was heavily loading up on his punches. Being heavier on his feet, he stayed at range a few times and took some very uncomfortable right hands from Zinat. I'm not sure if the emotions from the cancelled super fight played a role, but to me it's a concerning sign for Bivol. There will be plenty of emotions facing the most dangerous puncher of the modern era, and same time Beterbiev actively uses his right hand, often throwing punches over the top, which could work well against Bivol, who tends to box with his lead hand lowered. If he can't relax and return to his usual style with agile footwork against Beterbiev, things could end very quickly. Let's take a look at Beterbiev's pro career. Early on, things didn't start off very smoothly, as finding opponents was difficult, leading to long periods of inactivity and legal disputes with his promoter. In 2017, Beterbiev won the IBF title in a fight against Enrico Köhling, whom he knocked out in the 12th round. This prompted murmurs from the crowd, who expected a bloody domination and were tired of Beterbiev's cautious and monotonous attacks. Then he successfully defended the title twice. Nevertheless, his straightforward style and lack of variety became apparent, and people began to say that Beterbiev was aging. Then came the unification fight with Alexander Gvozdyk in October 2019. The technically skilled, undefeated Ukrainian, a former member of a famous Olympic team, was seen as the clear favorite against the aging Beterbiev. However, Artur shocked the world by showing that he could prepare for a tough fight when the situation called for it. Once again, he proved that despite his age, he remains one of the most physically gifted athletes in history, with punches that are simply impossible to withstand. Beterbiev was landing his shots steadily, sometimes only a few per round, as Gvozdyk was highly agile and kept his distance well, but as soon as Ukrainian slowed down a bit, he started to take more punches, and in the 10th round, after 2 knockdowns, fight was stopped. For Beterbiev, this fight was a turning point in his career, when everyone finally understood the unique boxer they were dealing with. Over the next 3 years, he had 5 fights, ending with 5 confident knockouts, solidifying his status as a true danger for anyone being in the ring with him. In general, there is little to highlight in his style apart from his devastating punch. He's not very fast, not very agile, takes punches but can absorb them. There are no critical flaws in his technique thanks to the excellent Soviet boxing school. Combined with a very simple game plan, this makes his style nearly unbeatable. Beterbiev understands very well that even a punch that just grazes an opponent's guard brings the knockout closer. Boxers have been known to go down even from short pokes thrown without the typical hip rotations we see from strong punchers. Beterbiev is a genius of physical strength. Coaches and athletes who have worked with him often point this out as a phenomenon. A glance at his Instagram page occasionally shows how this relatively small fighter, weighing around 80 kilos, benches 140 kilos or squats well over 200. Among boxers, these results are exceptional, and it's hard to imagine what it must feel like to take his punches even on solid block. Bivol's style is a classic Soviet pendulum step, allowing him to draw his opponent in and throw multiple punches from long range in repeated acts. On paper, this is exactly what needs to be done against Beterbiev. Wait for his attack, break the distance and pick up. If successful, this could create problems for Artur, as Bivol is also very physically strong and capable of hitting hard, though he focuses on overall output. When Beterbiev misses, he will almost immediately take a snapping series of punches that will hurt and drain his resources for those power shots. Nevertheless, Bivol gets hit, like any boxer. His lowered lead hand makes him vulnerable to opponent's cross or overhand, which Beterbiev loves to use. And we are not talking about some random right hand like the one from Malik Vinat, where you might have taken the shot but quickly recovered and even returned the moment with a counterattack. We are talking about a feeling of being hit by a train. Stunned for just a moment, you will already allow Beterbiev into mid-range, and God forbid you end up with your back against the ropes. The option of taking those punches on the guard, as in the fight with Canelo, won't work. Beterbiev, believe me, being a natural light heavyweight and with all other stuff mentioned, hits much harder. Let's summarize. Bivol is an excellent boxer at the peak of his career and presents a tough challenge for anyone in the ring with him. However, in this fight he will face a real nightmare. An elite amateur with 20 early victories in the pros. For 36 minutes he will be up against the most fearsome puncher in modern boxing. A puncher who won't rush, take risks or make critical mistakes because he knows he will land that decisive shot over 12 rounds. Yes, Beterbiev is getting older, but his style doesn't rely on speed, crazy reflexes or timing, traits that tend to decline with age. The only area where age might matter along with big amount of fights is his ability to take heavy punches and stay fresh enough. In my opinion, this is Bivol's only chance to win. Besides the obvious strategies, moving a lot, throwing plenty of punches, staying at the distance and blah blah blah, he needs to understand that Beterbiev can be a slow starter, and early rounds is where it's crucial to consciously apply a bit more pressure and hit hard, making Beterbiev respect his power and inflict damage. The first 5-6 rounds will determine how dangerous Artur will be later on. If he takes significant damage, Bivol may have a better chance of avoiding going down from a random poke or punch in the 10th round. However, a big question is of course how Dmitri will feel in the later rounds, especially if he is winning the fight by points and Beterbiev goes all in. Yes, he may be tired and have taken some hits, but we are still talking about genetic monster. So, whose task is harder? I believe it's Bivol, who needs to do something nearly impossible in this fight. Beterbiev just needs to show up basically and do his job, complete the same training camp, step into the ring in a good shape and wait patiently. That's why I favor Beterbiev in this fight. That's all for today. Share your thoughts and questions in comments and don't forget to watch this crazy fight. See you soon guys and keep boxing!